I have never lost one of these max play unders. Now, I will say, it's not a huge sample, but undefeated nonetheless. In 2022, I told you to take the Tennessee Titans under 9.5 wins. They finished with 7. The year after that, we took the Washington Commanders under 6.5 wins, and they finished with 4. And then last year, we all remember it, the New Orleans Saints under 7.5 wins. They started 2-0 out of the gate hot. I got to be honest with you. I was getting nervous, but luckily they came through and they only finished with 5 wins. And now that doesn't even include multiple max under future bets in Major League Baseball. Now, does that mean that this bet I'm about to give you is a lock? No, absolutely not. Nothing in sports is a guarantee. So I encourage you to do your own research and see if you come to the same conclusion. But the one thing I can guarantee, you're getting my best shot, along with all of the analysis that led me to fade this team in 2025. What we're going to do is I'm going to break this pick down into sections: offense, defense, and regression metrics that are important to me. I'll also clue you in on why this is such an enormous wager for me when we get a look at my model prediction for this team in 2025. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. But before I break it fully down, the best place to make this bet is on BetMGM. If you haven't downloaded BetMGM yet, remember to use code JUSTGridiron. Because if you wager at least $10 up to $1,500 and this play were to lose, you'll get it all back in bonus bets. If it wins, we celebrate together. That's code JUSTGridiron on BetMGM for that first bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the first wager loses. Let's look at the offense of the 2025 Seattle Seahawks. Seattle swaps out Geno Smith for Sam Darnold at quarterback, a downgrade of 1.2 points against the spread per game by our internal metrics. While not catastrophic, it represents a setback. Darnold had a career year last year and got paid for it. We saw him crumble in the playoffs when opponents got real pressure on him, but in the regular season, he was objectively fantastic. But now in the same division as those Rams who got to him, other teams should have a better idea how to quiet Sam Darnold. Now, credit to KOC. It looked like Darnold may never get a starting job again, but with that scheme behind that O-line, with countless weapons, Darnold turned in one of the better seasons from a quarterback in 2025. Now, signing with the Seahawks was great for Darnold's wallet, but not his play style. Darnold migrates from one of the better offensive lines and schemes to one of the worst. This is especially important for Darnold given his poor performance under pressure. Darnold has posted a PFF grade below 55 when pressured every single season except last year. It's not as if Darnold magically became great under pressure last year. 29% of his incompletions were due to being pressured, which was the 5th highest mark among quarterbacks in the previous season. No quarterback faced more pressure than Geno Smith last year, and Seattle did nothing to address this issue. Darnold doesn't have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson anymore. The Seahawks are still paying DK Metcalf, but he's gone, as is Tyler Lockett. They still have JSN, who's an excellent weapon, but not much behind him. They brought in Cooper Kupp, which helps ticket sales, but the end of his Rams tenure was not a fun one. There is a reason that he was not a sought-after free agent. 5th-round pick Torrey Horton, along with MVS, round out the receiver room. Not ideal. Darnold won't have 1,100-yard rusher Aaron Jones anymore either. The running back room isn't devoid of talent with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, but the results were not great last year. Negative 0.126 EPA per rush in 2024 and negative 0.133 EPA per rush on early downs were both near the bottom of the NFL. I know those are fancy stats. Let me give you a normal one. They also ranked 28th in rushing yards as a team in 2024. Expecting improvement from a rookie O-line addition and a scheme change is very optimistic, and I'm not buying it. Clint Kubiak arrives as offensive coordinator with the mandate to revive the unit. While publicly regarded as a quality play caller, his prior offenses have finished 15th, that was Minnesota back in 2021, and 24th, that was New Orleans last year, in scoring. We spoke about him last year when we faded the Saints. His last name carries a lot of weight, but I'm not buying that he's much of an upgrade, even though last year's offensive coordinator was a major problem. Don't worry. My belief is Seahawks fans will have the same complaints that they did last year as they do this season. As I've mentioned, this offensive line is the biggest concern, with rookie Gray Zabel being broken in on an already shaky unit. The Seahawks allowed the second highest pressure rate last year, and Zabel was their only addition, which has them placed 30th in PFF's offensive line rankings. Compounding matters. Darnold's most damaging habits, turnover worthy plays, taking sacks, and erratic decision making tend to surface most under pressure, which is likely going to be a reoccurring theme given this offensive line's profile. The Seahawks have $85 million allocated to their offense in 2025, ranking last in the NFL. With the fourth most dead cap space, they are unable to address real issues. Games are won in the trenches, and on the offensive side, Seattle's going to rock with one of the worst. With few weapons to work with, I project this offense to be one of the bottom 10 units in the NFL in 2025. So now let's look at the 2025 Seattle Seahawks defense. And I'll be honest with you, it's not that big of an issue. Mike Macdonald is an elite schematic defensive play caller, giving Seattle a high coaching floor on this side of the ball. Cornerback Devon Witherspoon could emerge as an all-pro candidate, but outside of him, the roster lacks star-level defenders capable of carrying a below-average offense. Up front, Leonard Williams is coming off his best season, but enters his age 31 year with limited proven talent behind him. DeMarcus Lawrence retains name recognition, but hasn't been elite in years. Byron Murphy could take a leap in year two, but that is far from certain. Linebacker Ernest Jones brought impact down the stretch in 2024, especially as a blitzer, but the rest of the linebacker room is shaky. Rookie second rounder Nick Amenwuri offers elite athletic upside, yet he remains raw and positionally undefined, more likely to find a role than be an immediate difference maker. Overall, this unit profiles as above average, characterized by solid coaching but capped by a modest talent ceiling. I'm not fading this team due to its defense. It's just not good enough to carry the offense. Now let's look at general regression for the 2025 Seattle Seahawks. There are several reasons to believe Seattle will regress from its 10-7 record in 2024. The Seahawks finished with a +7 point differential last season. Among teams with a winning record, even those with a 9-8 or better record, Seattle finished 13th out of 15 squads with a winning record. Betting Seattle against the spread last year would have left you in the red with a 6-10 finish, indicating the market overinflated their odds the previous season. Now, Seattle went 7-1 on the road. The only team better was the Lions. That's a total fluke. And it's not like this team is historically great on the road, right? They went 4-5 back in 2023. Seattle also went 4-2 in their division last year, which is going to be difficult to replicate this year because both the Cardinals and the 49ers are expected to improve, and the Rams remain a tough opponent, especially for the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle only beat 2 playoff teams last year. Week 1 against the Broncos in Bo Nix's first career start, and then in Week 18 in a divisional game against the Rams with Jimmy Garoppolo under center. When faced with good competition, they routinely fell short. Also, the Seattle Seahawks went 6-2 in one-score games last year, and if you flip the results of those games, this team finishes 6-11. Only Kansas City, Philadelphia, Detroit, and Minnesota had better results in one-score games. Seattle has been over their projected win total in 5 of their last 6 seasons. With a depleted roster coming off a season with luck on their side, this is the season they go under. Our market-adjusted win projection stands at just 6.88, giving Seattle a 21.4% chance of clearing 8.5 wins. You heard me correctly. At the current line of under 8.5, that is a 21.6% model edge, one of the largest I have ever shown. And in the NFC West, we project a 58% probability that they will finish with the worst record in the division, including ties, an 18.8% edge versus the implied odds at +155. Both positions align with the model's directional view and are supported by roster context, making them viable plays with multiple pathways to success. So I took, again, Seahawks under 8.5 wins for 3.5 units. Seattle to finish last in the NFC West at +155, and another half unit on under 7.5 wins at +140. So that'll do it for my big max under. We have normally one per season, and this is mine Seahawks under 8.5 wins. Seahawks to finish last, and Seahawks under 7.5 wins as well. And if you enjoyed, best way to support is to like and comment, and of course, hit that big red subscribe button because I have more future videos on the way as we get closer to the season. I am so ready for kickoff. Can't come soon enough, but the only thing we have to remember is it's not gambling advice.